You know, it's kind of wild when you really stop and think about it. All the complex stuff we use every single day. I mean, your phone, that coffee maker, even the car you drive. They don't just, poof, appear out of nowhere, right? There's this incredible master plan, this sort of secret science that turns a pile of raw materials into a finished product. So let's dive in and really uncover the secrets of what's called production management.
And to make this all feel real, let's latch onto one huge challenge. What does it actually take to build a modern electric car completely from scratch? We're talking about going from a simple idea, just a sketch on a napkin, to a shiny new vehicle rolling right off the assembly line. This car is going to be our guide for this whole explainer.
So, the answer to that big question, it really boils down to this one concept: production management. The best way to think about it is like the operating system for a factory. It's the invisible brain that coordinates absolutely everything, from ordering giant rolls of steel to doing that final quality check. It's what makes sure thousands and thousands of parts come together perfectly and, just as important, efficiently.
So, where do you even start with something so massive? Well, long before a single bolt is turned or any heavy machinery is purchased, you begin with the blueprint. This is the big picture, strategic phase where the entire project gets its direction.
It's a simple idea, but it's so powerful. You just can't hit a target you can't see. For our electric car company, the very first step is to sit down and define what success even looks like. Are we trying to build the most reliable car, the cheapest, the one we can produce the fastest? These can't just be vague ideas. They have to be specific, measurable goals. To get specific, managers use a framework that, I know, sounds complicated, QCPMFF, but it's really just a handy 6-point checklist for what success looks like. For our car, quality means no rattling doors and a 5-star safety rating. Cost means the final price has to be something customers are willing to pay. Productivity is all about getting the most out of every robot and every worker. Minimizing wastage, well, that's pretty straightforward. Fewer mistakes, less scrap metal. Then you've got 2 Fs. The first is flexibility, which is so crucial. What if we need to switch from a sedan to an SUV model on the fly? And finally, fulfillment. This just means when a customer orders a car, it actually arrives on the date they were promised.
Okay, so we've got our goals, we know what we're aiming for. But, goals are just wishes without a real plan of action. So how does a production manager actually make all this stuff happen on a day-to-day basis? Well, that brings us to the core functions.
So, to turn those goals into reality, managers lean on another classic playbook: PODCC. Planning is the super detailed roadmap. Organizing, that's like setting up a chessboard, putting the right people, the right robots, and the right battery packs in exactly the right places. Directing is all about leadership, inspiring and guiding the teams on the factory floor. The first C, coordinating, makes sure the engine team is perfectly in sync with the chassis team. And the second C, controlling, that's like constantly looking at the dashboard, checking if we're on track to meet our goals and making smart adjustments if we're not.
All right, so we've planned the what, and now we're getting into the how. This next decision is a big one. It's all about choosing the right type of production system. Because believe me, not everything is made the same way.
The key here is choosing the right tool for the job. You've got job production, which is for one-of-a-kind items, like a custom-made suit, totally wrong for our car. Then there's batch production for making things in groups, like a bakery making 100 croissants at a time. Process production is for things that just flow continuously, like in an oil refinery. For our electric car, where we need to make thousands, maybe millions of identical, high-quality vehicles, well, mass production on an assembly line is the obvious clear winner. Okay, we've figured out our what and our how. Now for the absolutely critical where. We know we need a giant factory for mass production, but where on earth are we going to put this thing? And let me tell you, this is not a small decision. It can literally make or break the entire company.
I mean, think about it. If you choose the wrong spot, you could be stuck with crazy high transportation costs, a shortage of skilled workers, or just logistical nightmares for years. But if you get it right, man, that provides a massive competitive advantage. So what goes into a decision this big? Well, for our car, we've got to think about being close to our raw materials, like our battery and steel suppliers, to cut down on shipping costs. We need a place with a pool of skilled engineers and technicians. We absolutely need reliable roads and railways to get the finished cars out to the dealerships. And you can't forget stuff like a stable electricity grid to power the whole factory, and maybe even some nice tax incentives from the local government. Every single one of these factors gets put under a microscope.
With so many different variables to juggle, you can't just throw a dart at a map and hope for the best. No, there's a formal, structured process to make sure the best possible choice is made.
And that multi-million, maybe billion-dollar decision, it isn't based on a gut feeling. It follows a really logical process, which we can remember with PIDEF. First, you problem define. Simple, we need a new factory. Then you identify alternatives. Maybe you shortlist 3 different cities. Next, you evaluate those options against all those factors we just talked about. Then comes the big one, decision-making, where you select the best site. After that, you execute. You actually build the plant. And finally, you follow up, constantly reviewing its performance to make sure it was the right call. It's a very logical path for a massive investment.
So far, we've been really deep in the weeds of making our physical car. Now I want you to zoom out with me for just a second so we can see where production management fits into the, well, bigger picture of the business world.
You're going to hear these 2 terms thrown around a lot, production management and operations management. And it's easy to mix them up, but the difference is actually pretty simple. Production management is laser-focused on just one thing, the manufacturing of tangible goods, like our car. A good rule of thumb is this. If you can physically drop it on your foot, it probably falls under production management. It is all about the making of things. Operations management, on the other hand, is the whole universe. It includes making things, for sure, but it also covers the entire world of services. It's the whole system of how a business gets things done, whether that's assembling our car or making sure thousands of people have a smooth check-in process at a hotel. One is a specialty, the other is the whole shebang. And that right there brings us full circle. We've gone on this whole journey from just a simple idea for an electric car, all the way through defining its goals, planning its functions, choosing an assembly line, and even picking a spot on the map to build its factory. All of that is powered by the principles of production management. It's the engine that drives creation. So next time you see a new skyscraper going up or you unbox a new laptop, just take a second to think about that invisible orchestra of planning, organizing, and controlling that had to happen perfectly to bring that product into your hands. Now that you know the secret, what are you going to look at differently?